Today is February the 13th, 2019. Welcome to the Personal Computer Show. I'm Hank Key and my colleague is Joe King. Do you know who has your personal data? Do you know how Facebook, Google, and Amazon are using your personal data? You should find out. Our website is pcradioshow.org, and we can be heard each Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on prn.fm, streaming on the internet, as well as on various podcasting hosting sites. Podcasts of the programs available on prn.fm, on the internet, and pcradioshow.org. To listen to the live program on the telephone each Wednesday at 6 p.m., the number is 641-793-7091. For those who are listening to the program on demand, you can leave us a message with your question or comment to hank@pcradioshow.org. You can also reach us on the Google number 862-800-6805. Start your message with the Personal Computer Show, followed by your message. In the news tonight, we're going to be talking about Amazon facing opposition is now reconsidering the New York headquarters site. We'll also cover what Amazon is doing to reduce cardboard box packaging waste, and the New York Public Service Commission approves of the T-Mobile-Sprint merger. For tonight, our feature segments are Cyber Terrorism by Benjamin Rockwell, and for Marty Winston, he's going to cover home automation, where energy seeks balance, and how important it is for the placement of the thermostat control. From the Tech Corner, how to handle robo and spam calls, and ask not what you can run on your computer after you bought the machine. You should be asking it before you buy it. And I'll also cover how to do tax preparation on your Linux distro or your Chromebook. Jeff Bezos is the richest person in the world. He owns the Washington Post. As reported in the Washington Post, Amazon is reconsidering its plan to bring 25,000 jobs to a new campus in New York City. The designated campus location is Astoria, Queens. The average wage of these 25,000 jobs is $150,000. These are high-tech jobs, not what you would call middle-class jobs. There is growing opposition from those who live in Astoria. When they see wealthy tech workers, it's usually a sign that they themselves are being displaced from their neighborhoods. What consolation is there that they might pick up some extra money serving these wealthy workers, having expensive cocktails when they and their neighbors have been driven out entirely? Not only that, but the cab drivers and clerks have to pay taxes to subsidize the influx of wealthy newcomers, driving up their rents. The community does not feel it is in their best interest. The Amazon headquarters in New York was initially announced by Governor Andrew Cuomo and Mayor Bill de Blasio of New York. The project now faces severe criticism from some elected officials and advocacy groups appalled at the prospect of giving giant subsidies to the world's most valuable company. In the past 2 weeks, the state Senate nominated an outspoken Amazon critic to a state board where he could potentially veto the deal, and city council members for the second time aggressively challenged company executives at a hearing where activists booed and unfurled anti-Amazon banners. No specific plans to abandon New York have been made, and it is possible that Amazon would try to use a threat to withdraw to put pressure on New York officials. But company executives have had internal discussions recently to reassess the situation in New York and explore alternatives. The company has not leased or purchased office space for the project in the Queens neighborhood of Long Island City, making it easy for them to abandon its commitment. Unlike Virginia, where elected leaders quickly passed an incentive package for a separate headquarters campus, and Tennessee, which has embraced plans for 6 smaller facilities, final approval from New York State is not expected until 2020. The question is whether it's worth it if the politicians in New York don't want the project. Amazon has hired a lobbying firm and a public relations firm in New York and recently advertised for a senior community affairs manager to focus on developing a positive partnership with local stakeholders, community groups, and nonprofits. At the same time, company executives may be reaching an inflection point as they prepare for the third City Council hearing and a session of the state's Public Authorities Control Board, which typically would have to okay the project. Now is the time for Amazon to make a decision because it has to start hiring. At some point in time, the project starts to fall behind if it doesn't get approval. New York State and city officials have played down the chances that the deal will fall through. They point to opinion polls showing strong public support. But officials are furious at the nomination of Senator Michael N. Gianarias of Queens, who is the Deputy Majority Leader of the Senate and a strong opponent of the deal, to the Public Authorities Control Board, where he could effectively kill the project. Cuomo has not said whether he will accept the senator's nomination and accept the Senate action, calling it governmental malpractice. What is at issue? Governor Cuomo says it's only a very small group of politicians who are pandering. The problem is the state Senate has adopted that position, and that's what could stop Amazon. The senator described the possibility that Amazon would pull out of the deal, which totals up to $3 billion in state and city incentives, as akin to blackmail. Amazon has extorted New York from the start, he said, and this seems to be their next effort to do just that. If their view is, we don't come unless we get $3 billion of your dollars, then they shouldn't come. If you do the math, subsidizing Amazon with $3 billion for 25,000 jobs works out to a subsidy of $120,000 per job. Contrast this with $750 million in subsidies for 25,000 jobs in Northern Virginia, which works out to only $30,000 in subsidies per job. The resistance in New York contrasts that with the warm welcome Amazon has received in Virginia. It's unclear what Amazon might consider as Plan B if the New York project falls through. It could forego the incentive package and hire employees on a smaller scale, as competitors, including Google, are doing. Or Amazon could search for another jurisdiction to get some or all of the jobs. Resistance to Amazon in New York is well organized and energetic, based in unions and community groups. Canvassers have gone door to door to warn people in Queens of looming rent hikes and displacement, much as Seattle experienced during the company's explosive growth there. Opposition to bringing Amazon to the city is partly because they were unhappy that the deal was structured to bypass city council approval. The community around Long Island City is home to legions of grassroots organizations that were already unhappy about gentrification. Amazon and the environment. Over the past year, Amazon has reduced the portion of shipments it packs in its cardboard boxes in favor of lightweight plastic mailers, which enables the retailing giant to squeeze more packages in delivery trucks and planes. But environmental activists and waste experts say the new plastic sacks, which aren't recyclable in curbside recycling bins, are having a negative effect. Amazon packaging suffers from the same problem as plastic bags, which are not sortable in recycling systems and can get caught in the machinery. It takes labor to cut them out, and you have to stop the machinery. Amazon is by far the biggest shipper and producer of that waste and a trendsetter, meaning that their switch to plastic mailers could signal a shift across the industry. Other retailers that use similar plastic mailers include Target. The problem with plastic mailers is twofold. They need to be recycled separately, and if they end up in the usual stream, they gum up the recycling systems and prevent larger bundles of materials from being recycled. Environmental advocates say Amazon needs to do a much better job of encouraging consumers to recycle the plastic mailers by providing more education and alternative places to bring that plastic for recycling. Amazon's goal is to reduce bulkier cardboard is the right move, and plastic mailers have some positives for the environment. They take up less space in containers and trucks than boxes, making shipping more efficient, fewer greenhouse gases are emitted, and less petroleum consumed by the production, use, and disposal of plastic film compared with recycled cardboard. Plastic is so cheap and enduring that many companies use it for packaging, but consumers are prone to put plastic sacks into recycled bins. Plastic mailers escape the notice of sorting machines and get into bales of paper bound for recycling, contaminating entire bundles, outweighing the positive effect of reducing bulky cardboard shipments. For the past 10 years, Amazon has whittled away at unnecessary packaging, sending the product in its original box when possible or in the lightest packaging possible. Amazon said that the company shifted to lightweight plastic mailers in the past year as part of a larger effort to reduce packaging waste and operational costs. Amazon is currently scaling capacity of a fully recyclable cushion mailer that is recyclable in paper recycling streams. Amazon said its frustration-free packaging program reduced packaging waste by 16% and eliminated the need for more than 305 million shipping boxes in 2017. The problem with the new padded plastic mailer is that Amazon and other retailers affix a paper address label that renders them unfit to be recycled. Even at a store drop-off location, the label needs to be removed, separating the paper from the plastic in order for the material to be recyclable. For now, those padded plastic Amazon mailers can be recycled once the consumers remove the label. Amid the immense patchwork of U.S. recycling laws, such requirements have not yet gained federal favor, except for specific toxic and valuable materials like electronics and batteries. New York Public Service Commission approves of the T-Mobile Sprint merger. T-Mobile and Sprint got another win in their bid to merge. New York's Public Service Commission has approved the deal with some conditions related to jobs and benefits provided to employees in the fourth most populated state in the country. The companies have now received approval from 16 of the required 19 state public utilities commissions. The California Public Utilities Commission is still reviewing the proposal. The New York State government agency determined that the merger is not expected to cause interruptions or changes in service for existing Sprint wireline customers. Moreover, as condition for approval, the Commission is requiring the company to continue to operate its relay call center in Syracuse and honor existing contracts until they expire. To offset concerns about job losses in New York, at least in the near term, the combined company has agreed that the number of employees in the state will be at least equal to the total number of employees of Sprint and T-Mobile employees as of the closing of the merger and will continue for 3 years. The companies also agreed to provide current T-Mobile employees with the same benefits they receive today and to make equivalent benefits available to current Sprint employees. While the Public Service Commission acknowledged concerns about the merger's potential impact on the wireless market and a reduction in mobile virtual network operator competition, it concluded that the competition matters are the subject of the FCC and the Department of Justice. The agency also said it will track the company's progress on 5G deployment in New York and determine if the new T-Mobile delivers on its promise to provide 5G service to the overwhelming majority of coverage areas within 3 to 5 years of the merger closing. The importance of the increased competition in the United States for the delivery of the Internet of Things that a combined Sprint and T-Mobile merger will increase competition as their increased spectrum bandwidth will allow them to compete against Verizon and AT&T in the 5G market, and this will rapidly increase the implementation of Internet of Things nationwide, including in traditionally underserved rural areas. Well, this is not the first time I'm talking about it. Nowadays, robocalls make up 50% of all phone calls made. Robocallers, according to one source, spam us with over 26 billion calls last year. However, none of that matters now. You pick up that call and you say to yourself, why did I pick it up? Like all the other times, you want to shriek, don't call me again. I don't care who the hell you are. Just go away. your words would fall on deaf ears. There is no one on the other end, or if you breathe a word, your voice may be recorded for future use. You have a whole arsenal of smartphone tools at your disposal. You block numbers, turn on Do Not Disturb mode, use your carrier's tools, or use third-party apps to end this telephonic pestilence. Many robocalls come up as anonymous on your call ID, while most business and human beings come up as identifiable phone numbers. Chances are you could terminate all anonymous calls without missing anything important. Depending on your service, you may have access to anonymous call rejection by entering the magic number *77, and you will hear 3 beeps, beep, beep, beep. Hang up, and any call that hides its number will be rejected. This service varies by carrier, and some carriers charge a little extra money, but it's a helpful tool for scammers or legitimate robocallers who slip through the Do Not Call registry. Join the National Do Not Call list. When it was first started, millions rejoiced when the FTC created the National Do Not Call registry, and in a perfect world, signing up would stop telemarketers from calling you. Technically, it's illegal for telemarketers to call you if you're on this list. But the world isn't perfect. Scammers don't follow the rules, nor do they care about this list. However, it's still smart to register your number as an added layer of protection against unwanted calls. As joining the National Do Not Call registry is very simple. You go to the website donotcall.gov, that's one word, and enter the landline or cell phone number you want on the list. Note that fax numbers are governed by different regulations, so signing them up won't do anything. There's another way you can do this. You can call 888-382-1222 from any phone you want on the list. That's all it takes, and your number stays on that list until you ask for it to remove or you give up the number. Once you sign up, the Do Not Call list takes you off the for-profit business call list, but it's not immediate. Telemarketers update their listing only periodically, so the FTC says it can take up to 31 days. Political organizations, charities, and survey takers are still permitted to call you. Businesses you bought something from or made a payment in the last 18 months have a right to call. When they call, however, firmly tell them to take you off their list and they have to honor your request, although they may still try to talk you into reconsidering. There are user carrier tools to block calls. The 4 major carriers have tools to identify, filter, and prevent suspected nuisance numbers from calling or texting your phone. Most require an extra monthly fee to activate the caller ID service, but networks-level blocking is free of charge across all the carriers. ATT subscribers can use a free iOS and Android app called AT&T, that's with an ampersand, AT&T space call space protect. It has automatic fraud blocking and suspected spam warnings. You can manually block unwanted calls. Verizon recently announced a free call blocking service beginning in March. Verizon previously offered a caller filter service for $3 a month per line. Verizon says it has identified 300 million spam and spam phone numbers that it will block. They say it will roll out free spam alerting and call blocking tools in March. That's next month. T-Mobile provides 2 free ways to combat robocallers and spam calls. First is Spam ID, an automatic system that identifies spam numbers when your phone rings. T-Mobile automatically does this on its network, and there's no app to install or service to turn on. The second free method is Scam Block. Unlike Scam ID, which simply identifies known spam numbers, Scam Block gives you an option to block those numbers. To turn this on, you dial #662#. To turn it off, you dial #632#. Similar to Verizon's caller name ID, T-Mobile has its own paid name ID service, which identifies and provides caller information like the name, location, and type of organization. You can block them as needed. This is included in T-Mobile's One Plus plans, For other T-Mobile plans, it'll cost you $4 a month per line. It has a dangerous caller identification that immediately identifies robocallers, scammers, and other nuisance callers before you answer. Finally, Sprint customers can sign up for its premium caller ID service to protect themselves from robocallers and caller ID spoofers. This service costs $3 a month, and it provides a threat level indicator to give customers an idea of how suspicious a call is. It does this by flagging calls with real-time data trends gathered across the United States. This service doesn't automatically block known spam calls. Based on the threat level, you can choose to answer the call, block the number, or report it to prevent future calls. Another way to stop nuisance calls on your smartphone is via call blocking apps. These apps can identify who's calling you and block unwanted calls that show up on crowdsourced spam and robocallers list. Some of the top call blocking apps are NOMO Robo, Nobo Robo. Nobo Robo is an iOS and Android app that offers real-time protection from a growing list of robocallers, telemarketers, and phone scammers. Nobo Robo is free to use for 30 days, and then it costs $2 a month, or $20 for the entire year to sign up. You'll need to provide Nobo Robo with information, such as list the type of phone you have, wireless or landline, and select your carrier. Note, not all major call carriers support Nomo Robo. Then there's Truecaller. The app for iOS and Android lets you find out who's behind that unknown number, copy and paste the number into the app's search bar, and Truecaller will search the unknown number to find out who it is. With a community-based spam list from over 250 million users, it's a pretty good source to avoid answering unwanted robocalls. Another feature of Truecaller is its ability to block spam calls. When a pesky telemarketer calls, there will be a big warning in red telling you that it's a spam call. Just swipe up when this happens to automatically block that caller and add them to the spam list. The Truecaller app is free for both download and use. However, there is a professional version that can be bought as an in-app purchase for $2 a month. Then there is Hiya Caller ID and Block. The Hiya Caller ID and Block app is perfect for identifying calls you want to accept and blocking calls and texts you want to avoid. The Hiya app is available for free on both Android and Apple gadgets with no ads, and it is simple to use. If you had to choose one, this is probably the best choice. It allows you to block calls, blacklist unwanted phone numbers and text messages, reverse phone search, incoming call information, and receive spam clients. The app is powered by a database of hundreds of millions of phone numbers confirmed to be spammed by other users. Then there's Call Control Call Blocker app that automatically blocks spam calls and calls from other numbers that you don't want to hear from. You can block entire area codes like 888 if you're getting lots of calls that you don't want from a particular location. The Call Control app is free and available for both Apple and Android phones. Are you worried about missing out on important calls? Call Control gives you your own personal whitelist and contacts protection to make sure people you know get through. The app's users actively report their spammers, so its catalog is always up to date. Call Control will automatically block active spammers, and reverse lookup allows you to track them to their source. You can add numbers to the community blacklist and choose to block specific numbers that won't leave you alone. Did you know that some smartphones already have built-in spam and robocall protection in place? Samsung flagship Galaxy and Note smartphones have a native feature called Smart Call that automatically screens and flags suspicious numbers. Google Android smartphones, like the Pixels and the old Nexus and Android One, have a built-in spam call protection. With this feature, users with caller ID enabled will get a warning if a suspected spam call or robocall is received. Aside from ignoring the call, the user has the option to either block the number or whitelist it if the spam flagging is deemed an error. Any blocked number can be unblocked at any time. An option to report the call to Google is available. Here's a feature that's available on any iPhone and Android: the ability to block specified numbers. Although this cannot possibly stop every robocall and spammer number, you can at least block the recurring ones. On an iPhone, open up the phone app, go to Recents tab, then tap the circular information icon on the right side of the number you want to block. On the next page, tap Block this caller to put the number on your block list. On the Android, you can likewise open your phone app, navigate to the Recents section, do a long press on the suspicious number, then select Block, Report, Spam. This may vary depending on the manufacturer and model of your Android phone. God help us with all these robocalls. You know that if half the calls are robocalls, that means that half the cost of our telephone providers are to support robocalls. Tonight, Benjamin Rockwell will be covering cyber terrorism.
Technology in the workplace is abundant. This is Benjamin Rockwell, and now's the time to put on my work hat. And I'm going to talk to you about those things that you hear at the office, but you're not quite sure about the deeper aspects. Today, I'm addressing the world of the IT professional and dealing with cyber warfare. You've no doubt heard about the term cyber warfare. It has this big, huge, scary idea behind it where countries are attacking other countries. There are missiles going off, doom and destruction, and all of the scariest thoughts that come after watching the 1983 movie War Games with Matthew Broderick and a few other people. You may have envisioned these ideas of military being involved, and there are soldiers just traipsing across the cyber landscape. And, well, there is some correlation. It hits a lot closer to home and what we do. For starters, I'd like to note that there are two sides to this. Part of this is protection. And today, we're mostly in the world of simple cyber terrorism. To define this well, cyber warfare, cyber war, really, would be an all-out declared series of battles against infrastructure. It would be against your servers, your routers, the various internet connections, and this would be against many decided enemies. What would those enemies look like? Well, they would attack Google, Netflix, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Yahoo, and whoever else. And it would be all synchronized to cripple the many that are involved. Not only cripple them, but do it immediately, decisively, and it would last for a long time. Today, we're not really dealing with a war. We are dealing with, well, what the real world is dealing with for the most part. Cyber terrorism. Yes, the world is mostly dealing with terrorism. In the computer world, we're dealing with cyber terrorism. All right? So, if a company is hit with an attack of ransomware, is that necessarily an attack that will crumble other companies, our country's infrastructure? No. Enough malware attacks, ransomware, and you might hurt a smaller company. But most companies have information security teams to handle whatever may come their way. The larger a company is, or the larger that the company determines that they are being threatened, the more people that will be involved in protecting against this cyber terrorism. All of those big names that I mentioned earlier, they have teams. Even the companies that have been hacked in recent years, you've heard, yes, Target, Marriott, Amazon, and so forth. They have teams, and many times these teams are much larger after the attacks. These teams respond to a number of threats that are usually aimed at information, but will also address the attacks that might be bringing down servers, preventing internet connections, and more, working backwards. If Amazon cannot connect to the internet, can you buy anything from them? No. But actually, it gets worse than that. It's not just a matter of just that section of Amazon itself. All of a sudden, your Alexa doesn't work. Okay, so you can't say, hey, Alexa, do this or that. Also, Amazon has a bunch of clients. All right. Yes, Amazon. We think of them as just a matter of, okay, this is where I buy books and, other household goods. But no, Amazon provides data storage and database servers to not just a few, not hundreds, but many, many, many thousands of companies. The team at Amazon must maintain the connection to the internet all of the time. They are watching for all manner of attacks. The most common one we talk about is DDoS, Distributed Denial of Service Attacks. What is that? Well, that's a million requests for information coming all at the same time. And they watch for this, and they work to answer not all of these millions of requests that are coming in, but work to determine the legitimacy of those requests. It's kind of like tuning out the noisy restaurant to listen to the person right across the table from you. If Amazon's servers are crashed, it doesn't matter if their internet connection is up. They watch for uploads or actions happening on the servers that shouldn't be happening, like the bouncer at the front door of the restaurant, ensuring that the belligerent ex-husband isn't barging through to disturb your meal. But the most important thing that IT professionals must work at is actually the theft of data, especially your personal information. Oddly enough, that actually frequently comes from inside. But yes, there are many things that might happen, like taking down the servers or the connection, but nothing is more terrifying to you or I than the idea that our credit card information is out in the wild. Internet connections have redundancies. At Amazon, they have many, many, many redundancies to ensure connectivity. Servers can be rebooted. They can be duplicated. They can be rebuilt. Amazon also has many, many, many servers just to handle this. But that biggest headache, that largest one of all, is that information breach. So that unsung hero behind the information technology team is the one that is keeping you. It's keeping the company. And it's even keeping our country a little more secure. They configure the routers, the switches, the firewalls to ensure that the internet is up. They also install software to prevent access. But also they install software that monitors the access, all in the interest of keeping things under control. They lay traps for the bad guys, and they encrypt data. And as we proceed deeper into this information age, they will develop new ways to stop the bad guys from turning cyber terrorism into cyber warfare. This is Benjamin Rockwell. Back to you, Hank.
Thank you, Benjamin. Ask not, what can I run on my computer after you bought the system? Or, how do I do tax prep on my Linux operating system or Chromebook? You don't select a computer with a specific operating system and ask, what can I run on it? You should ask first what needs you have for a computer and what applications are available that will meet those needs. Then you ask what operating system supports those applications. Let's take a look first at what the installed base of personal computing operating systems are. Based on the latest available data through January of 2019, a little bit over 75% of operating systems on personal computers are Windows. OS X is a smidgen above 12%. Linux is 1.61%. Chrome OS is 1.17%, and about 9.5% are other operating systems. Linux as an operating system for the consumers have been available since the early 1990s. It has failed to be a major client or consumer operating system. Its primary failure is there is no de facto acceptance of a specific distribution. There are over 5 major management packaging systems, with each having forks with multitudes of variations of Linux. Chromebooks now account for about 40% in the education system, and unlike Linux, there is one version and it is supported by Google. The use of the personal computer has primarily been internet access, email, and performing office functions. In the basic Office package for personal computers are word processing, spreadsheet, and presentation modules. These functions are readily available in the 4 major personal computing operating systems, that is to say Windows, Mac OS X, Chrome OS, and Linux. Beyond Office functions, Chromebook and Linux have very thin application support. Most software publishers do not find it practical to invest time and expense to adapt their applications offering for each operating system. Google offers Google Docs to support Office functions in Chromebooks. Although Google Docs is a subset clone of Microsoft Office, it meets the basic needs for non-business users. Google Docs is a web-based application that is available for Windows, Mac OS X, as well as Linux users. The offline version of Google Docs is just for Chromebooks users. The Google Apps offering encompasses very productive applications. Since most of these tools work within a web browser, it couldn't be more cross-platform friendly. No longer do open source users have to hear Linux need not apply. There are certain elements of Google Apps that come up a bit short on Linux. For Linux, you also have available Office functions which are not dependent on the cloud. There are LibreOffice and OpenOffice for all variants of Linux distro. You also have Kingsoft Office, also known as WPS for Linux, if you want a clone of Microsoft Office. Today, there are over 300 Linux distributions. But what if your needs go beyond Office functions like tax preparation? There are web-based tax preparation applications for Microsoft Windows and Mac OS X. What about support for Linux and Chrome OS? The trend now is to make available applications that run offline to be web-based ready in the cloud. This opens up the opportunity for Linux and Chrome OS users to run applications for Windows or Mac OS X when they become available for web-based processing. Why would publishers make application web-based? The simple answer is they are moving from offering software as a one-time cost to a lease cost, and the big plus for this is in the business environment, which simplifies greatly the software update process. Is there a downside? Sure, yes. When the cloud is not available, you are up a creek, and there's also, of course, the monthly expense. It's only a matter of time when software publishers offer their offering only on a lease basis. Getting back to how to do tax prep with a Linux distro or Chromebook. At the TurboTax website, the documentation says you need a web browser running in a Windows or Mac environment. Or the tax prep publishers, including what is available from the IRS, warn users that their software might not work correctly with non-Windows and Mac OS X systems. When it comes to the government, don't take the risk. There are solutions for Linux and Chrome OS users. There is what is called a user agent switcher extension for Firefox, Chrome, and Opera that makes a website think they're using a Windows or Mac browser even though you are on a Linux distro or Chromebook. Let's first define what is a user agent. When a software agent operates in a network protocol, it often identifies itself, its application type, operating system, software vendor, or software revision, and by submitting a characteristic identification string to its operating pair. The user agent switcher extension adds a menu and a toolbar button to switch the user agent of a browser. There is a user agent switcher for Chrome, Firefox, and Opera. What this means is that if you're running with Firefox or Chrome or Opera as a browser in Linux or Chrome OS, you can spoof the web-based application that is only for Windows or Mac OS X and still be compliant. Most web-based Windows applications should work with a user agency switcher. Because it is an extension, this may or may not cause conflict with other installed extensions in the browser. So before you use it on a regular basis, first you have to do a search on User Agent Extension to download the extension, and when you get it, to make sure it runs with a web-based application in the browser of your selection. If it doesn't work in the particular browser that you're using, try it with the other one. If the application you need is only available for Windows offline, then you'll have to consider the use of Wine for Linux. If you need it for a Chromebook, well, then you have to see what the future may bring in terms of cross-platform support. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day, Marty. You speak of romance with chocolate and champagne, and let's stop there. TMI.
Oh, it's a romantic picture. You and your special companion cuddling in front of the fireplace, nibbling through a box of chocolates, a magnum of champagne resting near fresh-cut flowers in a vase, sweet music playing, and plans for even more passion. But something in this picture may make that last part less likely to happen. Do you have a fireplace at your house? Think about the room it's in. By any chance, is your thermostat in the same room? A fireplace is home to and a point of origination for a considerable amount of heat. Granted, the thermostat probably isn't sitting as close to it as you are, but it's still getting warmed. Oops. A thermostat is a single point of reference for the temperature of the house. It assumes the ventilation system is doing a good job of circulating air more or less evenly across the house. So, a thermostat essentially assumes that whatever temperature it's sensing is indicative of the temperature across the whole house. Except, your fireplace doesn't spread its heat across the whole house. It does keep the thermostat nice and warm, and since that makes the thermostat believe that the rest of the house is also nice and warm, well, the thermostat never bothers to turn on the furnace. As a result, the rest of the house can be left, well, chilly. I hate to say frigid, but when it comes to romance, those aren't shivers of enjoyment. If it's just the two of you, well, you could skip the fireplace, or you could plan ahead of time for falling asleep together in front of it. Or you could equip the bedroom with an electric blanket. One way or another, you need to cope with the idea that you'll throw your heating out of balance. There's one small thing you can also do. Most thermostats have a switch that lets you set the fan to either auto for automatic operation or on for running regardless of whether the furnace, or for that matter air conditioning, is running at the time. If you set the fan to on and the cold air return register is open and clear, important point there, that will help circulate some of the warmer cuddle room air across the rest of the house. Another measure for your mental musings is a ceiling fan. Heat rises. Heard that before? I seem to have heard that somewhere. A slow fan with the blades pitched to thrust air upwards toward the ceiling will draw air away from the room and push it across the ceiling. More of that warmed air will reach more of the house. It's a partial solution at best, but worth considering. Here's something counterintuitive that may also help. If there are windows in the same room as the fireplace, open them a little bit, just an inch maybe, to let some of their cold air in. The bubble of warmth at the fireplace will keep you two cuddly, but the heat loss created by the open windows will help moderate what the thermostat sees. One more alternative? Use a fake fire. Maybe one of those fireplace video loops playing on a small screen in front of your fireplace. I hope that helps with tomorrow night, but long term, what can you do? At least, short of blocking over or never running the fireplace, what can you do? One thing you might want to do is to look into some of the newer thermostats that have satellites in multiple locations. That means it can read temperatures from more than just one room, and the chances are pretty good that there's some crafty programming inside to help keep the whole house in a better balance. You may want to talk to your HVAC pro about that. Let me turn this discussion into a little more of a learning opportunity. Energy seeks balance. When you have one place in your house that's always or even just sometimes hotter or colder than other places, it's always a sign of wasted energy. It's always demonstrating a need for using more energy to correct it. Whether that too warm or too cool place is a cause of a problem or an effect or symptom of a problem, hey, it's telling you there's a problem. And knowing there's a problem, happily, is always the critical first step to fixing the problem. Okay, sometimes a long-term fix can be cheap and simple. An HVAC pro can install variable dampers in your ventilation ducts and explain to you how to adjust them yourself to tweak the flow of warm or cooled air in the house. But make sure to ask, this is important, make sure to ask what you shouldn't do. For example, completely closing too many of them can make an HVAC system more or less, and sometimes quite literally, blow up. I mentioned those thermostats that have satellites. Consider not having the main thermostat in the same room as the fireplace. Put a satellite there instead. Some of the systems let you set specific satellites on ignore, which dodges the issue of the room with the fireplace inviting Frosty the Mood Killer into your bedroom. Again, your HVAC pro is where you should go for that info. What does your fireplace burn? Wood? Gas? Those rolled up fake logs you can buy from stores? It's just so easy to get overeager in building a fire. Resist that temptation. A low fire is just as romantic as a roaring fire and causes a lot fewer issues. Before you light it, how long has it been since you had a fireplace or chimney pro check that out? How tightly does your flue fit? Can the screen guard still do its job? These are all things to manage well before Valentine's Day. Remember, too high a fire not only makes it uncomfortable to be too close to the fireplace, it also makes it harder to keep the champagne chilled. It can make the chocolates melt in your hands, not in your mouth. It can make the bedroom an Arctic surprise in waiting. And the next day, you should see the stuff that a wet paper towel can wipe off the mantel and the wall above, not to mention the TV screen if you mounted your TV set up there. Oh, almost forgot. The extra heat is really not good for the life expectancy of that expensive TV set. Back to tomorrow night, and one more little reminder. Whether you're on furniture or the floor with the chocolates and champagne and each other and all, there will come a moment when you decide it's time to make the move to another room, maybe the bedroom. If the TV is off, the fire's out, and you're on your way out, nothing ruins the mood like an injury. Plan for enough light from somewhere to let you see what furniture or obstacles may be in your way. Coincidentally, our subject next time is also about bumping into things in the dark, only outside. And I'll have some bright ideas for adding light without using energy.
Thank you, Marty. Public service announcements. Computer club meetings in the New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut tri-state region. The computer clubs have random access sessions at each of these club meetings. If you have any questions or need for technical advice, the club members are more than happy to assist. There is no such thing as a dumb question. The New York Amateur Computer Club will have a meeting tomorrow. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Online dating in the 21st century. Meeting time is 7 p.m., and they meet at NYU, 32 Waverly Place in the Silver Building, located in Manhattan, New York. Photo ID is required. Princeton PC Users Group will have a presentation on Cut the Cord, things to consider before firing your cable company. Meeting is Thursday, February 26th. Meeting time is 7 p.m., and they meet at the Mercer County Library, Lawrenceville, New Jersey. The Brookdale Computer User Group has a presentation on how to avoid internet and telephone computer scams. Thursday, February the 28th, meeting time is 6:45 p.m. in the Middletown Library Lodge Meeting Room at 55 New Monmouth Road, Middletown, New Jersey. The Amateur Computer Group of New Jersey has their general meeting on Friday, March the 1st. Meeting time is 8 p.m., and they meet at the Scotch Plains Rescue Squad, located at 1916 Bartow Avenue, Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Danbury Area Computer Society has their meeting on Tuesday, March the 5th. Meeting time is 7 p.m., and they have a new meeting place now, Danbury Hackerspace at 158 Main Street in Danbury, Connecticut. The Westchester PC Users Group has a meeting on Thursday, March the 7th. Meeting time is 7 p.m., and they meet at the Keller Williams Realty, 120 Bloomingdale Road in White Plains, New York. The Long Island Macintosh Users Group meets Friday, March the 8th. Meeting time is 7 p.m., and they meet at the Harry J. Scher Hall at the New York Institute of Technology, Old Westbury campus out in Old Westbury, New York. The Kings Bite Computer Club has their meeting on Tuesday, March the 12th. Meeting time is 7 p.m., and they meet at the Park Plaza Restaurant located at 220 Cadman Plaza West in Brooklyn, New York. All these club meetings are free and open to the public. If you have a computer club meeting you want me to announce on the air, send me a note. My address is hank@pcradioshow.org. Our website is pcradioshow.org. We can be heard each Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on prn.fm on the Internet. If you have any questions for us or commentary on any of our feature segments, just send us your email address with your telephone number, in which we can call you at a convenient hour for playback on the program. If you have any questions for us, just send us an email addressed to hank@pcradioshow.org. There's no such thing as a stupid question. In the meantime, stay in touch and keep on computing, and remember to back up. I'm Hank Key, and on behalf of Joe King and Michael Horowitz, we thank you for listening. Stay safe and healthy until we meet again, same time, same station next week.